Everyone, welcome back to my class. And today we are going to learn something very important from UGC NET perspective. This topic is the most important one, and question again arises from this topic. So, what is that topic? Which is communication model. So, in communication, we have 4 to 5 model. I guess we need to understand that, and question doesn't come directly from these topics, but yes, indirectly they will definitely ask questions from these such topics. So coming to our first model, which is Berlow's SMCR model. So what is Berlow's SMCR model? Wherein S stand for the source or the sender, M stands for message, C is the channel, and R is the receiver. So what the Berlow SMCR model states? Berlow's model focused on the transmission of communication, emphasizing human elements and the relationship between the message, channel, and the five senses. Berlow stated that SMCR model is a communication model that emphasizes on the human elements and their relationship between the message, the channel, and the five senses. What are those five senses? Number one is clarity, and number two is confirmation. Stress says that sender must be clear as possible and the receiver must actively signal understanding or accurate or request clarification. That is, the sender should possess a clarity in his message and should be as clear as possible, and the receiver must give a signal that he has understood the message, and in case if he doesn't understand, he should ask for clarification. Okay. Coming to number two, which is number third, which is content, and number four is the relationship. So communication involves both the message of objective content, that is the ideas, and the underlying relationship dynamics, that is emotions, power, and status. So the message that the sender is sending should have a content, should have should contain content, that is, it should be in a such a design in such a way that it is achieving the objective it aims to. And secondly, it should also consider it, that is, it should be courteous, that it should understand the relationship dynamics, that is the emotion, power, and status. Okay. uh, this comes under 7 C's, right? Clarity and courteous. Clarity. Okay. And coming to the next one, which is the last one, perpetual basis. Personal encoding and decoding are profoundly influenced by an individual perceptions of the world. So a person encodes or decodes message according to his perseverance, that the way he perceived the message, he encodes the message, the sender, and the decoder, which is the receiver, decodes the message according to his understanding. So that is why perpetual bias. So Berlow SMCR model of just a minute, model of communication. S stand for source, that is the communication skills, the attitude he possesses, the knowledge, the social system, and the culture. So the sender encodes the message. In message, we have content, the elements, the treatment, the structure, and the code. He sends the message through a channel, which is either hearing, seeing, touching, smelling, tasting. And then the receiver receives the message and he decodes the message according to his perpetual bias, that is, communication, attitude, knowledge, social system, and culture. So it is very simple. What you have to remember, that Perlow has specified SNCR model, where is S stand for the sender or the source, the M stand for the message being sent, C is the channel or the medium, and R is the receiver. So this is the Berlow's SMCR model. Very easy, clear. Should we move to the next one? The second one is the process model. This model evolved from the earlier transmission model, highlighting a dynamic process wherein individuals transmit, receive, interpret, and respond to message incorporating feedback. So in Berlow's SNCR model, there was no feedback, but in process model, feedback is there, is essential. So, what are the key elements of a process model? Number one is the sender who originates the message. Number two is the message, that is the content or the context of the message. Number three is the receiver who interprets the message, who understands the message. Number four is the feedback, that is the receiver receives the message and provides the feedback to the sender. And number five is the environment, that is the surrounding or the context in which the message is being sent, that is the environmental factors. Number six is the presence of noise, that is any kind of disturbance or barriers existing. Number seven is the channel, the medium through which the message is being transferred. And number eight, the last one, is the context or the setting. That means the circumstances surrounding the communication. So, in Berlo, we didn't have any noise. There was no scope for noise or the feedback. But if they ask in UGC NET, which model involves both the noise and the feedback, what will be your answer? The process model. process Process model involved both the noise, the presence of noise, and also the presence of feedback, and these two are the most important factors that are always present in any kind of communication. So feedback and noise. So the seven key elements of process model are the sender who sends the message is being conveyed, the receiver receives the message, and he provides the feedback. The other factors, contributing factors, are the environment, the noise, the channel, and the context. Okay. Also, we have a last element which is the dynamic flow. The sender encodes a message through a chosen channel, and then the receiver decodes the message. This is the normal step. That means the sender encodes the message, he sends it to the receiver, and the receiver decodes the message. The receiver then provides a feedback, and the entire process is shaped by this content and any interfering noise. So, this is the diagram. See, the sender is sending the message, he is encoding the message, right? And then message is being transferred through a channel, and maybe there is a presence of noise, some environmental noise or some physical barriers or koi psychological barriers, cultural barriers, and then the receiver decodes the message, and then your receiver, and he decodes the message, then he understands the message and he provides the feedback to the sender. Very simple. Uh, so the only thing you need to remember, in Berlo message there was no scope for noise and feedback, whereas in process model there is a scope for noise as well as feedback. Moving forward to the next model, which is key models of communication, understanding information flow. Communication theorists have developed various models to illustrate how messages are sent, received, interpreted. Each model offers a unique perspective on the dynamics of interactions, highlighting different aspects of communication process. So, coming to the first model, which is the linear model. By the word linear, it is understood that it is unidirectional, that is one way. This is the foundation model, and like this is the basis or the basis on which rest of the model are developed. So this is the foundational model, conceptualize communication as a straightforward one-way flow of information from sender to the receiver. So here only two parties, sender, receiver. Sender encodes the message, send it through a channel, and he decodes the message. Okay? And this is a unidirectional transmission. The key features of uh, one-way model is that it is one-way flow. Information moves directly from the sender to the receiver without immediate provision for direct response. That is, the sender sends the receiver the message without the expectation that there will be an immediate response. Mass communication focus often apply to scenarios like public speaking or media broadcast where a single source addresses a large audience. Suppose any broadcast that is happening. So in that case, the sender is sending the message to the receiver, but the receiver is not responding to the message immediately, right? Because the sender is targeting the large audience, and the immediate response is the provision for immediate response is not there. So mass communication. Here, sender driven. The sender is the active party here because the receiver is just receiving the message. He is not responding or he is not providing any kind of feedback immediately. So here the linear model is sender oriented. Number four, absence of immediate feedback. There is no built in mechanism for the receiver to provide real time acknowledgement or response. And number fifth is inclusion of noise. Acknowledges the presence of interferences that can build messages during transmission. So, what we can say here, I'll just write here some key points that linear model is unidirectional. Just a minute. It is unidirectional. Here, immediate feedback. Just a minute, students. Just a minute, my pen tab has some problem is happening. Just give me a minute. I just rectify. Immediate feedback doesn't happen. Number three, centered. It is center driven, right? Mainly happening due to the mass communication scenarios like mass communication. So these are some key features of linear model. That which means that send encodes the message, he send it through a medium, and the receiver receives the message and decodes the message. Maybe he can provide a feedback, but it doesn't happen simultaneously and instantly. Also, the presence of noise is here. Inclusion of noise is present. Okay, am I clear? These are the five key points that you need to remember here in linear model, and this is the very basic and foundation of the rest of the models. Coming to the advantages of linear model, simplicity, easy to understand and apply to basic communication scenarios. Obviously, because this is the foundational model, so it is very simple and easy to understand. The second is intentionality. Clearly focuses on the sender's deliberate act of conveying a message. So here, what your intention is to send the message and the receiver to receive the message. So there is a clear intention of the message. Disadvantage, lack of efficacy check. Offers no means to determine if the message was successfully understood as intended. So, since your feedback is not immediate, so there can be a lack of efficacy check whether the receiver has understood the message as it was intended to be. So, there is a problem of efficacy. Oversimplification fails to account for the dynamic, interactive nature of most human communication. So it is very oversimplified model because here we have included all the basic element that needs to be present in a communication. So I hope I'm clear what is a linear model. Linear model is unidirectional. Here the sender inputs the message to a channel and the decoder decodes the message to receiver, and there is a presence of noise, but the feedback is not spontaneous, not immediate. Here the main focus is on the sender. Very easy, very simple, very the intention of to send the message is very clear, but due to the absence of immediate feedback, there could be a lack of efficacy. Clear? Now we move to the next model, which is transactional model. The transactional model of communication is a dynamic and interactive communication process where the sender and the receiver exchanges messages simultaneously. This is just opposite to linear model, wherein in linear model there was no immediate feedback, but in transaction model there is a immediate feedback to the message, continuously influencing and responding to each other. Unlike linear model, which show communication as a one-way process, the transactional model emphasizes that communication is two-way, continuous, and shaped by feedback and context. Sender sends the message, receiver decodes the message, and at the same time, feedback is happening simultaneously. The key features of transactional model is simultaneous sending and receiving of the message. That which means sender is sending a message, receiver is receiving. On the same hand, receiver is also providing the feedback to the sender that he has received the message and that he has understood the message. It is a continuous process because here it is influenced by the interaction of messages over time. Feedback here plays a major role. Essentially, in this model, responses are instant and continuous, enabling real-time understanding. Can you give me one example of a transaction model? Anyone? Face-to-face communication can happen, wherein student and teachers are interacting. So, teacher is teaching, student is providing feedback whether he has understood the lesson or not. So, this is a transactional model. Here, context and environment, social, cultural, and physical context affect the interpretation of the message. Noise interference, any barrier that distorts interprets the communication flow. Shared field and of experiences, effective communication depends on shared knowledge, culture, or understanding between the sender and the receiver. So the components of the transaction model is sender receiver, message, he's sending the message, there is a channel, there is an immediate feedback, noise is present, context in which the message is being sent, and field of experience. This is a very important thing in transaction model. In UGC they have asked what the field of experience is present in which model. You have to mention in transactional model. And what is the field of experience? That is the sender and the receiver are have a similar mind, they can understand the message in a similar way. For example, if a person is good in mathematics, if the sender is good in mathematics, the receiver should also be good in mathematics and not English. So this is the field of experience. The experiences should be common, should be same. So am I clear? So what is the difference between the linear model and the transaction model? In linear model, every component is present, but there is an absence of immediate feedback. Whereas in transactional model, there is an immediate feedback and also the presence of field of experience, which is common knowledge. Am I clear? The example of transactional model, see a teacher and a student in the class. The teacher explains the concept and asks question and the student responds to the question and provide immediate feedback. Communicator, sender sends, encodes, decode, channel message. He decodes the message. There is a presence of noise and communication is happening successfully. Coming to the last model and a very important model, which is a interactional model. This is also known as media related model. This is media related. Like transactional model is classroom communication happening in classroom communication, and this is media related. This model describes communication as a process where participants takes turn sending and receiving message, with feedback playing a crucial role, though not always immediate. It's often associated with newer communication technology, which is through media. Now, in interactional model, the sender sends the message, the receiver receives the message, and the receiver also provide the feedback, but not continuously. See, here the encoding is happening, decoding is happening, feedback is being provided, but not simultaneously. And here, the one of the major thing that is the presence of psychological context. The mind should be similar. What are the key features of interactional model? Turn taking. Communication and occurs in sequential turns rather than simultaneously. That is, the sender sends the message, receiver received the message. Then he takes receiver turns, receiver receive the message and send it to the sender that he has received the message and he has understood the message. That is, it happens in a sequential term. Coming to the next, technological relevance, particularly suited for describing communication by platforms like internet, that is through media. Concept of field of experience highlights that each participant brings their unique background, knowledge, and experiences which influence encoding and decoding. There is a field of experiences, and each individual bring their own unique knowledge, their experiences. Convergence model. This model is also known as convergence model, also known as this, as it emphasizes the process of participants moving towards shared understanding. Whereas the last one, potential for linearity. If the receiver fails to respond, the communication effectively reverts to linear one-way process. If the receiver does not respond, this is known as linear model. So, am I clear? What is interactional model? See, I'll just provide you a brief notes on what is linear model, linear, transactional, and interaction. So, this is one way. Your sender sends the message and the receiver receives the message. No feedback, right? It can have for public speaking, public communication. Here sender noise is present. Here the sender sends the message. At the same time, receiver also sends the message simultaneous feedback. Noise present. And one important term here is field 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 of experience, and also this happens in classroom communication. In interactive model, the sender sends the message, the receiver receives the message, then receiver also sends the message that he has understood the message, but this doesn't happen simultaneously. Simultaneously feedback, no. One by one feedback. Presence of noises here. This happens in internet media related, right? Internet, use of internet technology. I hope I'm clear to you and you've understood what are the three types of model: linear, transactional, interactional. And also, interaction model is also known as, we have learned, it is also known as convergence. Convergence model. Question will arise from these difference only, which I have made to understand. I hope I'm clear. The three types of model: linear, transactional, and interactional. Should I? Yeah, one more model left. Then we'll wind up the class. Then coming to the last model, which is Laswell model of communication. The Laswell model of communication is one of the earliest and most influential model of communication proposed by Harold D. Laswell in 1948. It presents communication as a linear, one-way process focusing on the effects of messages on the audience. So this is a linear plus focus on effects of message. Now, what is effects of message? We will learn. We'll understand now. It simplifies communication to five fundamental components, often expressed as a formula: who says, what in, which channel, to whom, and with what effect. So, this is the who says what, in what context, in which channel, to whom, with what effect. So, this is the effect, right? In which channel, to whom, and the last one is with what effect. So, Laswell model is a combination of linear plus it focuses on the effects of the message. And what are the five fundamental components? Number one is who. Who is the sender? The sender. The source or the originator of the message who has the intention to communicate include factors like credibility, authority, and skills of the sender. The sender should be capable enough. He should have the authority to send the message. A news anchoring report on television. Number two is says what. What does the sender says? And this is the message. What is saying? A message. The content or the information that the sender wants to convey must be an idea, a knowledge, the information, emotions, data, or instructions. Coming to the third one, in which channel? Through which? That is the medium or the channel, whether it is happening face to face, through internet, through print media, through social media. So if the message is being transferred or transmitted to the receiver, through which channel. And the fourth one is to whom is the our receiver. The receiver can be a single individual or it can be a group of individual. The understanding of the audience characteristics, that is the age, culture, education, beliefs, determines message effectiveness. Citizen was watching or reading the news. And the last one is with what effect or impact. The result or the outcome of the communication can be change in knowledge, attitude, behavior, or emotional response. Now, what is happening? The receiver receives the message. Now, is there any change in the effect? Is there any change in the perception of the receiver? Is there any change in the knowledge or attitude of the receiver? So that is the effect we are talking about in Laswell, and that is the addition that has been done in the Laswell model. That so, what we can sum up, Laswell model is a model which is a combination of our linear model plus it focuses on the effect of the message, that is the message that has been transferred or transmitted by sender through a medium or the channel to the receiver has created an impact on the knowledge, the attitude, the behavior, or the emotional responses of the receiver. Has it created any impact or any effect on the behavior of the receiver? So that is our Laswell model. What are the features of the Laswell model? It is linear and one way. Communication flows in one direction without considering any feedback. It doesn't focuses on the feedback, focuses on the effect. Best suited for mass communication because it is one way and analyzes communication in a scientific way. So how we can sum up Laswell model? It is linear. It focuses on the effect. It it is best suited for mass communication and it has five elements. So, what are the five elements? Who says, what he says, in which channel he says, to whom he says, and with what effect. So, this is the Laswell model. I hope I'm clear. Who, sorry, who says what, in in what channel, to whom, and with what effect. Am I clear? So we have completed the different kinds of model. We have learned four model: Borlow's SMCR model, the process model, then the linear model, the transactional model, the interactional model, and the last one, the last one model. I hope I'm clear and you have no confusion. So I just want to mention here one thing, that question never asks, the UGC never asked questions directly. He will specify. Suppose I'm giving an example, which model is also known as the congruence model, and he will mention the four options: interactional model, transactional model, linear model, Lasso model. You have to opt for the correct answer. Or it can ask which model has a higher acceptance of field of experience. So again, four options will be given. You have to choose among those. Or which model of communication focuses on the effects of the messages. So you have to choose among those. So this is how the question is being asked regarding the models in the communication. There are more model, but that is under the category of mass communication, which we'll learn later. So for now, I think this is sufficient. We'll start with the mass communication in the next class. Till then, please give a reading to all the models nicely and also solve PYQs so that you can become more, you can get an idea how the question arises from such topics. Okay, then till then, keep studying and keep smiling. And I'm really sorry for the noise that is being created in the middle because of my pen tab. Some issues been going on, so I hope that doesn't disturb you or create any kind of noise in our communication. Okay, bye, students. Take care and keep smiling. Bye.